the level of ignorance about diabetes is very high in the community. Very many people, including if you went to the parliament and interviewed parliamentarians, you'll be surprised by how much ignorance they have about diabetes. Even among educated people, if you went to teachers in schools, if you went to even doctors, you may find that the level of ignorance by even doctors is very high about diabetes.
I'm a diabetic patient. I've stayed with diabetics for 17 years.
Every sunrise in Uganda sheds light on a silent epidemic, a condition often invisible until it is not. Diabetes, a chronic illness claiming limbs, lives, and livelihoods.
So we are now going to have a guided tour of the diabetic clinic where we are standing right now in Mulago Hospital.
Today, we step inside Mulago National Referral Hospital to understand the journey of those battling with diabetes.
So here where we are is our waiting area. But here is waiting to be registered. This clinic works every Friday of the week throughout the year. And on average, we see not less than 150 patients with diabetes every Friday. Right here are our nurses who are doing triage on the patients. Our patients are registered here. They take the blood pressure, they take the height and their weight. And then from there, we calculate their weight because we use that to guide the treatments.
Okay.
So this is the first area where our patients start.
Yeah. Must everybody be checked blood pressure?
Everyone must be checked, their blood pressure, their weight, and their height, because these are things which keep fluctuating.
It's here that critical data begins to form. Weight, blood sugar readings, blood pressure, foot examinations, and each record telling a story.
So we have our records department here. Every patient who attends our clinic has a personal file. And this is not for only diabetes, but for everyone. So we keep our patient files here so that every time everyone comes, there's a record of their previous treatments, complaints, so that we are able to track progress of our patients. So she works here in the records department. She's doing good work. The patient's vitals are okay, like blood pressure, the pulse, and then guiding patients, those whom we admit, and they need to be guided to the wards, and giving emergency treatment. So they support us and they are doing very good work.
And at the heart of this facility, Uganda's leading diabetes specialists.
There are two important causes of amputations, which refers to removing parts of a body part. In this case, mainly the upper or lower limbs. We have road traffic accidents and then diabetes mellitus. And every other year, the part contributed to by diabetes becomes even more and more. And it's mainly important in this country because not many people know they have diabetes. They live with it in their day-to-day life and only come to us when the body parts have died off or when they have become infected with various wounds. So they now come to hospital, and when the blood sugar test is done, that's when we know for the first time that somebody has diabetes. Well, what is done worldwide is not to wait for symptoms or signs of diabetes, because when you wait for symptoms and signs, you'll be too late. A person can have diabetes for about 2 to 5 years without knowing that actually they have the disease, because initially it shows no signs. It shows no symptoms. Some people may feel a little weak, they may lose some little bit of weight, but they may think it is part of aging, or they may think it's because of financial reasons, school fees and the like. In the villages, some people think they have been bewitched, but most people think that it's part of the aging process. So they feel weak, they lose some bit of weight, and the males may lose some sexual function, and they just blame it on aging. But 2 to 5 years on average, you can have diabetes well established in you and you feel nothing. So we recommend that blood glucose testing should be done on everybody, children and adults. Those with symptoms, those without symptoms, everybody should have a blood glucose test. For example, if children are going back to school, their blood sugar should be tested. If people are going to church, a church group can decide to test their sugars after service, if people are doing an activity. Blood glucose testing is not sophisticated, it's cheap, and it doesn't even pain. So, and it doesn't cost much. It can be done for as low as 5,000 shillings. Yes, blood glucose testing, actually, we have small machines we call glucometers. They are designed to be used by people, not by doctors or nurses, but they are designed to be used by the common person. So you can have this glucometer in a home, you can test your neighbors, so they are easy to use. The symptoms of diabetes can be mistaken for witchcraft, they can be mistaken for a bad day, they can be mistaken for feeling sleepy, or being forgetful. So there are common symptoms in people that go through their day-to-day life. So the herbal trade now is geared towards solving some of those common type of problems people meet during the day. When a person says, "So I don't feel fine, I am not sick, but I'm having a bad day," they don't know yet that it's diabetes. So they think the body immunity has gone down, so they think they should get a herb that can build their immunity. They can get a herb that can build their strength, even a social power, or a herb that can make them sleep better. Very common things. We all know that herbals are like food. If somebody gave you tuntunu, it's like food. It's like a fruit you pick in the garden and eat. If somebody gave you mudalasini that you use as a spice for tea, some of those herbals can have some medicinal value. So we are aware that some herbs have some useful values. We are aware that some herbs contribute to the vitamins that we need in the body. And we are aware that some herbs can assist our nerves, even assist patients who have herbals. Like, I'll give an example. There are people who are in their dying stages. Maybe they're on dialysis, maybe they're in coma from stroke, maybe they are so advanced in their illness. At that point, a herbal doesn't help much. But earlier on, when people are still in their gardens working, when the diabetes is still developing or still very early, a herbal can be very useful. You need to find out, do I have diabetes or not? Nowadays, we even have tests that tell us whether a person is on the way towards having diabetes, what we call a pre-diabetes. And we can prevent diabetes when you are at the pre-diabetes stage. We can prevent diabetes when you are not even yet at the pre-diabetes stage. So the first thing is, know where does the patient lie. Is he normal? Is he pre-diabetic or is he already diabetic? And the different tests we do can tell us that. Then the second stage is for those who are pre-diabetic and those who have diabetes, is to look for what we call complications. What is your vision? What is your kidney function? What is your liver? What is your heart? How are your muscles? How are your nerves? How are your eyes? How is your skin? How are your teeth? We look at you as a whole person. How are your feet? And we can characterize to what extent diabetes complications have set in. Then, of course, the third one is now to draw up what we call a meal plan. We have what we call diabetes meal planning. Now, the meal planning has to be tailored to an individual. There's no such thing as this is what diabetics do and this is what they don't do. And that's the common mistake people make. Most people think that all diabetics eat one type of food. They think that all diabetics are the same. And so they begin saying diabetic does not eat this, diabetic does not eat that. And that's wrong information. Diabetes should be tailored to each individual. There are even diabetics whom we shall tell, now you can eat sugar, you can drink sugar. There are diabetics we can tell, today you can take soda. Then there are those we can tell, you stop all food and just use sauce alone. There are even diabetics whom we stop from food. For example, when a diabetic is going for an operation, you don't eat food that day. For us, we find a way of feeding you. The diabetic who has had an operation on the intestines, you don't eat food for a whole week. We find another way of feeding you. So, meal planning is very important. But it must be tailored to an individual and the unique characteristics of that individual. We have growing children, for example. Wherein adults are restricting food, a diabetic child should not be restricted from food. Should eat food because he's growing. When a diabetic is in the stage of puberty, he needs a lot of food for the secondary sexual characteristics to grow. So, the mistake we are having is people take one message. Diabetic doesn't do this. Then, within the diabetic also, the meal planning must vary from day to day. When there are these marathon races we have in Kampala, many of the diabetics stand up and they make mistakes. When you see ambulances picking people, many of those they pick are diabetics. It's because the diabetic doesn't know that on the days going for a marathon, he has to take a lot of sugar. He goes with the same message, they told me not to take anything. So he goes into the marathon and then the exercise chews all the sugar that he has in the body. He ends up with no sugar and he collapses. So within the same diabetic who was told don't eat sugar, on the day of the marathon is being told, please take sugar. So that variation is what now you have to tell the person. There are some diabetics who do exercises only on the weekend, which is wrong. Exercise should be done regularly, daily, not just on the weekend. Now, the day they do the exercise is the day they fall into problems. There are things like feasting. When you feast a lot, you have to adjust your treatment for that day. Of course, diabetics remain social people. They go for kwanjula, they go for weddings. The Baganda have what they call a kolumu. They have that kolumu where they get some. So on that such a day, you have to adjust and make the drug more. Then there's a day where, for one reason or the other, you discover that you are not likely to eat food. There are days when there's no food at all. And we tell them, first make sure there's food before you inject yourself. Yes, diabetes is an inheritable condition. It's very true. what is unique is that there are different forms of inheritance. There are those which are direct, like how you see sickle cell inheritance, what we call single gene inheritance. Then there are those which are not very direct because their inheritance comes from many genes and different expressions of those many genes. So, for example, if you have type 2 diabetes, we have 17 genes that determine whether and to what extent you get diabetes and at what age you're likely to get it. So depending on how those 17 genes are compounded in you, how you inherited them from your grandparents and parents, there are many combinations in how you get so many from the mother, so many from the father. You find some people have very strong genes for diabetes, others have weak genes. Insulin therapy is used in the following conditions. At the beginning of treatment, when patients present with very severe illness, anytime a diabetic has severe illness, he has to be on insulin, including the one who is on tablets or the one who is on diet and exercise. The moment somebody becomes very sick, that short time, he has to go on insulin. Number two, if you determine that a person has type 1 diabetes or type 5 diabetes, those two types, or any diabetic who is pregnant, that person must go on insulin. Another reason for being on insulin is when you are going for an operation, you must go on insulin. Then another reason for being on insulin is when you have tried to use tablets and they have failed to work, then you must go on insulin. Over the time, insulin has progressively become affordable. If I may give an example, a type of insulin like Mixtard, which is commonly used, a bottle may cost about between 20 and 25,000 shillings. And this bottle will take the average patient about 20 days of treatment on average. So of course, there's also the cost of the syringes that he has to keep changing. So if a person is on insulin, I would think that in a month, you need about 50,000 shillings to be on insulin per month. These figures used to be much higher those other years, so every other year it's becoming better. Some insulins are more expensive, particularly the insulin pens, but for the common man, the insulin vials can be affordable. Yes, we have new emerging treatments. Some of them are tablets, like dapagliflozin, those type of tablets, empagliflozin. We have newer types of tablets for losing weight, like semaglutide. So we have both newer types of insulins and newer types of tablets. On the research world, we are trying to research on insulin which can be injected once in a month.
Okay, that would be good.
And then we are also researching on insulin which can be sprayed in the nose, what we call nasal insulin. We are also researching on insulin which can be put as a patch, insulin patch. We are also going further to research on pancreas transplantation, which is showing signs of success. Then in other countries, we are also trying to research on stem cells for diabetes care. And they are showing early signs of progress. Well, there are very many myths. Some of them are very worrying to even talk about. There are those who say, if you eat the tongue of an albino, your diabetes will be cured. So there can be so many funny things people do. People have all sorts of funny things they deceive themselves. But to me, the most worrying are those who tell others lies to sell them things which actually don't make sense. Somebody can go in the garden, pick paspalum grass, pound it, and then sell to others and deceive them that he has a special herb. So there are so many liars out there who just want to make money out of people. Very little. Nobody is doing much about it. But what government has tried is to educate the village health team members. These are the village health workers who work in villages, to give them basic information about diabetes, and then they can educate the communities about some of those myths. Beyond that, we haven't had much. The Ministry of Health puts up some posters which can be put, but these are read by very few people. There are some talk shows that we try to put up on radio and TV, but I'm sure the effort is not meeting the need out there. In other words, the level of ignorance about diabetes is very high in the community. Very many people, including if you went to the parliament and interviewed parliamentarians, you'd be surprised by how much ignorance they have about diabetes. Even among educated people, if you went to teachers in the schools, if you went to even doctors, you may find that the level of ignorance by even doctors is very high about diabetes. So any investment in information delivery and education of various stakeholders will be very, very vital. We have three main pillars of management of diabetes. Well, the first pillar is diet. The second pillar is exercise, and then the third pillar is drug treatment. Those are the three main pillars. So diabetes management is like a three-legged stool with the three legs. And you have all sat on stools. You cannot sit on a stool with only one leg or two. It will just fall down. So if you don't organize the diet and exercise, then the other leg of drugs cannot work. And that's why we emphasize, that's where we begin. Number one, some patients can be managed only on diet and exercise. They don't need injections, they don't need tablets. Number two, the patients who need injections and tablets also require to do diet and exercise, because once you do them well, the amount of exercise you need to do, the amount of drugs you need to give goes down. So one way of saving costs is to do diet and exercise. The month they walk, their insulin requirements go down. The month they exercise and eat the right food, their doctors adjust the medicines downwards. So they save money, they save themselves from side effects of the drugs, and the quality of life is better.
Diabetes does not shout, it whispers until it rips away what we hold most dear. In part 2, we explore the struggles, advancements, and hope for better diabetes care in Uganda.